on that division, and the trade deadline again 4 weeks away. Out west, the Dodgers 57-29. They now have a 12-game lead. Yes, a 12-game lead over the Colorado Rockies, and a 14-game lead both over Arizona and San Diego. So it's, the Dodgers, what a great year they're having. Do you think that the Dodgers will make any moves at the trade deadline? I know they're wanting the Pittsburgh closer, but seriously, I don't see Pittsburgh trading their closer. And the Dodgers have such a great starting rotation. And now even with Hill going out, they seem to fill in the gap. And, I just don't know what the Dodgers would want at a trade deadline when you're 57-29. But I'm sure if there's something there that is appealing, look for them to jump on it and jump on it quickly. It'll be interesting to see what they do as we get close to that trade deadline 4 weeks away from today. Now, let's look at the wild card in the National League, where we've got the Cubs leading the number one wild card. I'm looking at the math here, trying to put it together. The Cubs with a half-game lead. They're in the first wild card, but the second wild card, half-game lead over Colorado and the Philadelphia Phillies. So Colorado and Philadelphia tied this morning for the second wild card. Washington a game and a half out of the second wild card. They're 42-41. Arizona and San Diego, both with 500 records. They are 2 games out of the second wild card, as is St. Louis. And then you get to Pittsburgh. They are 3.5 games out of that second wild card. Cincinnati, who I keep talking about, and for good reason, a 37-plus run differential. The Reds can hit. Maile pitched pretty decent last night. I'm not saying they're going to make it, but they just seem to hang around, don't they? And I don't know if you noticed, but Eugenio Suarez is heating up. He's been up and down this year, hitting about 240 going into the weekend. He went 2 for 4 on Saturday. He went 2 for 4 on Sunday with a home run. And last night he went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. Now they've got Scooter Gennett back, and so last night you had Suarez in the 3-hole, you had Gennett in the 4-hole. The Reds have the potential to really turn it on with a warm summer in one of the 4 smallest ballparks in Major League Baseball. So I'm not saying the Reds will make the playoffs. I am saying they are relevant, and they can certainly be a factor if they don't make it, because of the fact that they have, such a great potential for hitting the ball, the ballpark factors, all of those things. So keep your eye on the Reds, right? I just think they are certainly a player going forward. Those are the standings. The Mets are only 6.5 out. I don't have a second wild card. As bad as they have played, they're only 6.5 games out. So there. Want to talk about a few players real quick and get your thoughts on this. Let me look at the chat room. Unholy Toledo says, let's see, it'll be interesting to see what the Cardinals do or not do with that 3.5 game deficit in the division. And I agree, Unholy, the Central will be close all year. The Cardinals are, come on. What are they going to do with Reyes? You got Alex Reyes, who last year, I remember listening to different podcasts and different experts, if you will, trading for Alex Reyes before he ever pitched a game in the major leagues. I mean, incredible that was going on. And so then Reyes messes up his lat muscle, right, and can't play. Back in the minors, now he's having control issues. I don't know. I mean, Is he a guy that you own in fantasy? Is he someone you've stashed? And you got to be majorly disappointed in Reyes, as promising as he is. And that's the problem with pitching at that level, is it's just such a crapshoot, right? Okay, here's another one before we talk about other players. I want to talk about Danielson Lamet for the Padres. He was brought up last year, had Tommy John, striking out batters at an incredible rate, went down, hasn't pitched in a year. He's been pitching at AAA. They're saying he may come up later this week. What are your thoughts on Danielson Lamet? I've looked at his numbers. They're not good at AAA. Of course, what can you make of AAA numbers? But his AAA numbers are not good. And so now, do you pick up a Danielson Lamet? And I think what you have to do with any of these rookie pitchers, whether it be a Cease, whether it be a Luzardo, who we talk about every day, I'm talking about again right now, whether it be a Lamet, is you have to look at your staff that you have currently. To add a player, you have to drop a player. So if you tell me, Arnie, I've got Dallas Keuchel, and I'm thinking about adding Dylan Cease, ding, ding, you got to do it. I'm all over that one. If you're talking about, I'm going to make it ridiculous, okay? I've got a Walker Buehler, and I'm thinking about adding a Dylan Cease. Why? That'd be crazy. So I'm giving you some extremes, but every ad to me in fantasy is based on need. You can stockpile. I have a good friend who, and I want to ask him this question. He may be listening, but he's got a good team, and he's added Keston Hiura. He's holding on to the Urias, the prospect for San Diego. Okay, and so my question being, why have so many players who play the same position when you can't start them all? I get it. You like to stockpile talent. You never know about injury. And maybe that's the reason. And that's legit. But I like to look at my team in terms of what can I do to add to a weakness to make my overall team stronger. And I guess that's a philosophy that I take to fantasy that not everyone does. So, again, everybody doesn't manage the same way, and I guess that's a good thing, right? If we did, it wouldn't be much fun. We wouldn't ever have any trades. That's another thing I want to ask you about. In your leagues this year, is the rate of trade up? Is the rate of trade down? Is it pretty much the same as it has been? In leagues that I'm in, there are no trades. Okay? I was offered 2 trades yesterday. I was offered for Mike Trout, Jacob deGrom. That means I would be giving up Mike Trout, and the offer would be then I would be getting back Jake deGrom. That one was taken off. I would not have accepted that. The second offer I've been made is I've been offered, which is still out there, and I'm considering it, which is I would give up Freddie Freeman, and I would get back Walker Buehler. Now, if the baseballs weren't wound so tight, I might actually take that. Here's my hesitancy. My hesitancy is this. This is the year of the hitter. And Freddie Freeman has, check me out on this, has never hit over 30 home runs in his career in a season. He's already got 22. He's on a pace to hit 40. Walker Buehler, yeah, he struck out 16 2 starts ago, but his last start he gave up 7 earned. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look at the chat room in a minute. I'm making sure I don't look at the chat room until I finish this dialogue. But I can't give up Freddie Freeman for Walker Buehler. Are you kidding me? I can't do it. Just like I couldn't give up Mike Trout for Jacob deGrom. I can't do it. I'm going to be hard-pressed to trade any premier hitter for any premier pitcher who's not named Scherzer this year. That's my advice. Now let me look at the chat room. So Jack Youngblood asked me, will Keller be back up soon? Jack, from what I'm reading, the answer is yes. Unholy Toledo. I lost Hamels and Tim Anderson on the same day. Caleb Smith can't come back soon enough for me. What about Caleb Smith? And now I looked at his numbers the last 5 starts he's had. And I've not been out before he went on the IL. And I'm just not that impressed with Caleb Smith this year. Caleb Smith was, wow, he bust on the scene last year, but I've not been as impressed with him this year. Again, I think it's because of the year. 2019, the year of the home run. I mean, come on. We talk about Ketel Marte, for example, who's a good player. But by golly, he's not Mike Trout. He's hitting like him this year. And some players are taking advantage of that baseball. I want to see what Major League Baseball does next year. Does the ball change? If it does, Ketel Marte reverts back to a 15 home run kind of guy. 18 home runs. Not 35 like he'll probably hit this year. So this year, take advantage of it. Go for it. But don't think all of a sudden that every guy hitting 20 home runs so far is Babe Ruth. How about this player? Yeah, I'm looking at, let me get Andrea. Andrea says, don't ever give up Freeman. These are in all caps. Andrea, I'm with you. Hell no, she says. My opinion, that's all. Well, I agree with your opinion. And then Caleb Smith is injured. Yes, he is. He's had 3 rehab starts at AAA. The thought process is, as I'm reading this morning, preparing for the show, he will be back right after the All-Star break in Miami. Unholy says, LaStella and Sogard prove your point, Arnie. Did you see Sogard's numbers? I mean, Sogard is a 240, 250 hitter on a good day last year. And I know last year he had about a 3 or 4 week stretch where Eric Sogard, if you added him, hey, he was great. But for 3 or 4 weeks, not a whole season. For the month of June, the guy hit like 400. It was incredible. Balls flying off the bat yesterday in Toronto. Sogard at the top of that lineup. I got it, Andrea. I knew you weren't yelling. I'm with you. I want you to put in caps when it's that clear, don't do it. We're talking about the trade offer for Freddie Freeman. Andrea talks about Pilar. And I've heard Andrea say on, I think it was yesterday's show, Andrea, and you've done it before, go get Pilar. Can I add to that? Go get Pilar, ... in 2019. I mean, come on, he's Kevin Pillar. He hits 230. He can play the heck out of the glove. But he's a 230 hitter in Toronto, a great hitting park for years. I'm to think now all of a sudden he's the Renaissance man. He's a Renaissance man in San Francisco, where balls go to the outfield to die. But not in 2019. Not in 2019. If you own Pilar, way to go. The thing is, you can go out and you can pick up a player, and I'll give you one. I'm going to give you some numbers here. And I want to ask you, where did you draft this guy? June. Okay, this is with a minimum of 100 at-bats. 395 average, first. 434 OBP, second. 658 slug, second. 45 hits, tied for first. 16 extra base hits, tied for first. 29 RBIs, first. 26 runs, first. So, ladies and gentlemen, that player, who is he? Those were all for the month of June. DJ LeMahieu. The Yankees' DJ LeMahieu. Here you go. On June 22nd, DJ LeMahieu was hitting .316. 6 games after that, he's 18 for 28, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. His season line today, .345. Almost 100 OPS points higher, and he is probably in the discussion for American League Most Valuable Player with Mike Trout. Now I ask you, And I agree, Unholy.